Hello everyone, Hamud here from Retarget Common YouTube channel, and today I am going to start another series on Selenium scenarios. So we have already very good videos on Selenium concepts by Naveen, Mukesh and other folks. So I'm not going to cover like Selenium concepts step by step. I am going to select some specific scenarios and then I will try to automate that using Selenium Java. So that I am thinking to start on my channel, and this is the first video in that playlist. So what we are going to learn in this video, like how can we verify the functionality of cascading drop down in Selenium Java. So before going to the code and all, let me show you what is cascading drop down. You must have heard or you must have seen this type of drop down. You might not be aware of the name. Okay, but let me go and show you the definition of it. Okay, so what is cascading drop down? So let me read it out. Like, a cascading drop down list is a series of dependent drop down in which one drop down depends on the parent or previous drop down. The items in the drop down are populated based on an item that is selected by the user from another drop down. By reading this definition, you must have got, like, you have seen this type of drop down. Okay, so what is that? Let me show you an example. Let me go to Chrome and let me open a site called geodata.solutions. Okay, if you go here and if you go down, you see test drop downs, right? You can see we have three drop downs: country, state and city. So obviously what state and city you want to see, that will depend upon what country you select, right? Because in United States the state and city will be different. For India it will be different. Like, suppose if I select India here, okay, and then I will see all the states present in India, right? Andaman, Nicobar, Haryana, these are states in India, right? And suppose if I select any state here, like suppose I select Karnataka, okay, so we will see all the city names present in Karnataka, right? If you see here, the capital of Karnataka, Bangalore, should be here. Okay, we can see Bangalore city, right? So what is the what kind of drop down these are? These are called cascading drop down or dependent drop downs, because what will come on the second drop down, that is called select state, that depends upon which country you select, right? If you select United States or something, United States only, right? So obviously the Karnataka is not there in United States, right? So it cannot show that value, right? So based on United States, whatever we have selected, then the state name will be populated here. You can say Alaska, right? Arizona, California, and if you select California, then you can see all the city in that California, right? So this is called dependent drop down or cascading drop down. Okay. Okay, perfect. So I hope that you must have encountered this type of drop down in your IT career, or you must have automated as well. Okay. So what we are going to do actually, so I have explained what is cascading drop down, and so this geodata.solutions we have seen an example, and the second one we'll see after some time. Okay, so what is our task now? Okay, what actually we are going to achieve in this? So we want to verify that drop down options are populated correctly based on selecting using Selenium Java. Okay, means if I want to check, like, if you're selecting the country as United States, then whatever state it is populating, those should belong to United States, or that is, like, it should display only states from United States. It should not show or display any states from other countries, right? Same thing, if you select any state here like Alaska, then all the city names should be from Alaska, not from any other city any other state of the United States. Okay, like this type we need to check this value. Okay, so like if you go for this automating this example, so you may need to have a lot of data to be stored and all. Okay, so for that I have uh, found a very simple dependent or cascading drop downs which is from W3 school. Okay, so let me go here and let me copy this URL. Okay, so I want to thank W3 school, because of that I am going to show this demo here. And you can see here we have three drop downs here: subjects, topics and chapters. So based on whatever subject you select, you can see only subjects are showing value, right? Because that is the initial, that is the first step. Okay, and remaining are not showing any value, because value of these drop downs will depend upon what you select in subjects, then topics, then like that, right? Means topics will show only when you select the subjects. So I will select any front end. Okay, so you can see topics are populated here, and you can see front end technologies are like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, like suppose if I select back end, right? So obviously the drop down options in topics will change, right? Now it is showing PHP, SQL, right? Suppose if I select PHP here, you can see there is no chapter names are displaying, because we have not selected any value in topics, right? So let me go and select PHP, and you can see here we can see the chapters, right? So this is called cascading drop down, and this will use as an example for our Selenium scripts. Okay, before jumping to our Selenium course, before that we need to store that expected data somewhere. What is expected data? Expected data will be this, like subject should be back end, front end. Okay, and then if you select the subject as front end, then the topic should be like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And if you are selecting the HTML, then these links, images, tables and lists should be option under chapters. Okay, so these data are not straightforward data, right? It is like something linking, data are linked. Okay, means links is related to HTML topic of front end subject, right? Something with dependent kind of thing. It's not like first name, last name, age and something like straightforward data which you can store it easily. Okay, it's something related data. Okay, so now question comes like where you want to store the data, and this step or this decision will decide like how much code you are going to write, whether it will be complex or simple. So what I seen like in many framework or many companies, I see they use the Excel sheet to store the data. And really if you are going to use Excel data to store this type of dependent data, then you will be in big problem. Okay, you have some other options also, like you can use YAML file, you can use even Java classes or interfaces also to store the data. Okay, there are some different ways also, right? But the best way to store this type of dependent data is JSON. JSON is the best way to store this type of data. Even I don't prefer to use Excel at all. JSON is the best way to store the data and access it. If you are storing that data in Excel file, so surely you need to write a lot of code. You may need to handle tabs, and there's so many things you need to handle. And if there's so many data in Excel sheet, so it will be slow also, which are not the case in your JSON. Okay, JSON is faster, lightweight. Okay, so I hope that you must have aware of some JSON concepts, but not, if not, then I will just try to explain the basics, and I hope that you should know this concept, because means what is JSON. And even I have explained this JSON concept in my Research playlist also, you can go and watch there also, but here I will just show you little demo about the JSON. Okay, so what is JSON? Simple thing, like it's JavaScript object notation. Okay, earlier it was introduced in JavaScript, that's why we have seen JavaScript object notation, but this is like in all the programming languages. Okay, So it is lightweight format for storing data which can be transported from server to client and vice versa. If you have seen my Race Assured playlist, there I have explained a lot of API where I am sending the JSON payload, I am receiving a JSON response, right? Because we are transporting that data from server to client and client to server. Okay, it's very simply easy to understand, and it may consist of objects and arrays. Okay, so in the next slide I have added some example here. If you see the first example, that is called JSON object. Okay, here you can see we are storing the data as a key value pair. Okay, like house number is the key and 404 is its value. Same street name, city, state and countries are keys. Okay, so this is called JSON objects. Your right hand side, it is an example of JSON array. Okay, means when you want to store multiple JSON objects, right? So we need to use JSON array here. So you can see I am storing two house details or something like two address details into a array, that is called JSON array here. Okay, and using these concepts only I am going to store the our expected data for my that W3C cascading drop down. Okay, so we cannot directly go and start creating our JSON file to store that data. We need to have a specific format and plan, like how, whether we need to use JSON object, we need to use JSON array, what we want to use. Okay, so if you see here, the starting, the subjects drop down has two values, front end and back end, right? Means if we have something like we have two values, right? Front end and back end, right? Okay, so these are two values we have in the subjects, and based on what you select we have different values. So if you select the front end, then under the topic you have three values like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, means if you select the front end, then it may be HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, so means there is one relation, right? This is the relation. Right, means front end, if suppose front end is a key, then it may have value as HTML, CSS and JavaScript, right? Any one value at one time. Okay, and if you select the HTML, then chapters will be different, right? Links, image and tables and list. So means if you select the HTML, then it might have different values like list, button, something I links, button, something I can write, images. Okay, so what you can see here, like again HTML will behave as a key here. It can have one value at a time, right? List, button, image, something like that. I hope you understand this one. Okay, so I'm not going to draw all the arrows here, but yeah, this is the logic. So if you see front end as a key, okay, then it can have values like HTML, CSS and JavaScript. If you select HTML as a key, then you can have another set of values, and after selecting list, button or images, you don't have any other drop downs. Means after this link you don't have any other drop downs. Okay, means you can understand that after list has no associated values. Okay, so you can see like front end is a key, then HTML, CSS, JavaScript are values. The same thing for back end also. So what you can do, we can go for a JSON object where as a parent label, front end and back end will be two JSON objects, two keys. Okay, one JSON object, inside that one we will have two keys, front end and back end. Okay, so what I am going to write here, let me go and create one JSON online editor.org where we can create a list, create a JSON. So what I'm going to do, let me maximize this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one JSON object. Okay, I'm going to create one JSON object. Inside this JSON object we will have two keys, right? Why I'm creating a JSON object? Because if the front end is a key, then it has a value, right? Whenever we have key value pair, then we have to go for JSON object, right? So front end is the key and back end is the key. So let me copy the values, right? You can see values here also, front end. Okay, so I will put it like this one. As of now, let me put like this. Okay, and another key will be your back end. Another key will be your back end. Okay, now the question comes like what type of value front end and back end will hold. If you forget about this one, just remove this part. Okay, sorry, if I remove this person here, I have HTML. So again this HTML is similar like front end, right? So HTML will also have another set of values. So HTML, this will hold your another JSON object, right? Front end will hold values like HTML and whatever CSS, JavaScripts. Okay, so what we to do here, inside front end we will have another three keys, right? If you see here, inside front end we have three values like HTML, CSS and JavaScripts, right? So this we can treat as a keys here again, like HTML. You need to have the same format and everything. Okay, so I don't know what type of value it is, but let me put the JSON object as of now. Then what we have, CSS and JavaScript, right? CSS, and we have JavaScript, right? And we have JavaScript. Okay, so we are clear like front end will have another key set like key value pair. So we use this front end will hold another JSON object, right, where the key will be HTML, CSS and JavaScript, like this one. Front end is the key. Inside front end again we have HTML, CSS and JavaScript, right? Once you select the HTML, you see the again some links here, again some chapter names, and after that we don't have any drop down. So we don't have any dependent drop down, and there is no concept of key value pair for HTML and all. So instead of creating JSON object, because it is simply storing some values, right? So we should not go for JSON object because we need to store some key value pair again. So what we can do, instead of going for JSON object, we can have array, right? Because we don't have any further value after that. Once you select the HTML and once you select the any other value like whatever is getting populated here, so after that there will be no values, no other dependent drop down. So you can go for JSON array. Okay, so inside this we have already these values. So let me copy this here. Okay, I am copying from the source code only. Okay, and let me copy for CSS. So this is the way like I am storing the data so that I can have meaningful and easily readable data like this. Okay, so let me little format it, and you can see here in this JSON object we have front end as a key. Inside this front end we have another three keys, right? HTML, CSS and JavaScript, right? Same thing you can relate with your drop down. We have in the main subject we have front end and back end, which we have here, right? Front end and back end, two fields, two options. Inside front end we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So once you select the front end, you see the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If you select the HTML, you see some different links, chapter names here, right? So if you expand the HTML, you can see what are the chapter names are there. Same for CSS and same for JavaScript. So you can see like how meaningful, means how we save the data with meaning here, right? Whatever drop down you see, whatever format you see in the drop down, similar kind of things I've used to store the data. Same thing for backend also, right? If you select the backend here, so whatever the topics we have, like PHP and SQL, if we select for PHP, then again we have some chapter names, and all these are here also already in source code. So let me copy it from here and let me paste it here. Okay, let me format it. So you can see here inside backend we have two options like PHP and SQL, and then if you set the PHP you will see these three chapters, and if you select the SQL, if you see this type of chapter names. So we are done with the creating expected data JSON. Okay, and you will use this JSON to verify our values in drop down whether those values are correct or not. So that the important thing which we are going to see now. So let me create a Selenium project from scratch. Okay, so I'll go to Maven, sorry, I will go to Eclipse, and I'll create a main project. Okay, so I need to go to new and then go to Maven project. Okay, and here I'll select this one, create a simple project, click on next. I'll give some name like MAC, make the name easy, or let me put the target common Selenium scenarios. Okay, I will give the same group ID and artifact ID, and then I will click finish. Okay, so since we need to write some Selenium code here, so what I will do, I will go to pom.xml and I will add the Selenium dependencies. Okay, so for that I will go to Maven Central Repo, and here so here I will search for Selenium, and I will use the latest version, like I will use Selenium Java 4, right, which is released recently. Okay, and let me put this dependency here. So dependency, and inside this we need to put. So let me close this outlines and all, because those things we are not needed, and simply it is taking space. Okay, and let me increase the font size. Okay, let me format it, Control A, Control Shift F. Okay, so here I added the dependencies of Selenium Java, and I don't want to download any exe files and like for Chrome. So what I'll do, I'll go for WebDriver Manager. And if you're not aware of this, what is WebDriver Manager, so you can find the post on my blog Make Selenium Easy, where you can find what is the WebDriver Manager. In short, if you're using WebDriver Manager, so there is no need to download browser executable files and put in your project and then give the path. WebDriver Manager will give you for that. Okay, so let me copy this dependency, and when I will writing the code, so that time also you can see how it is making our job easier. Okay, let me format it again, and let me add TestNG dependency also, because for the assertion and all we require it, right? So what I'll do, TestNG. Okay, again I will use the latest version. Always try to use latest version, so that it will be easier for you to use the newer functionalities added by those libraries. Okay, I have added here, and I remove the scope at test. Okay, let you format it. So if you have the scope, then you are restricting the usage only in src test folder. Okay, if you means if you keep the scope as test, but if you remove it, then you can use in src main and src test both places. Okay, so what I did here, I created a very simple main project where I added three dependencies. First one is Selenium dependency, second is the WebDriver manager, and third one is TestNG. And whenever you create a main project, so by default it takes the Java 1.5, right? So what I'll do, I'll directly add one property in my pom.xml, which will help me to uh, load automatically expected Java versions as well. Like suppose when I am sharing this project to you, so there no need to configure anything in Eclipse. You can directly the project will directly use the Java 1.8 or whatever version you want to specify. Okay, so we have properties called maven dot compiler. Okay, no session coming. Compiler dot source. Okay, so we can put 1.8, and same another property we have maven dot compiler dot target. Okay, so it will be again 1.8. Let me reformat it. So to format this pom.xml, we need to press Ctrl A, then Ctrl Shift F. Okay, in Windows. So now if I go and right click on this project and then select maven update. Okay, okay, then you can see it will automatically update the Java version at 1.8 here once it is building. Right, you can see, and it downloaded all the Maven dependencies as well, like Selenium. Okay, and you can see everything is downloaded, right? So you can see like we added only three dependencies, but it is showing so many dependencies here. Why? Because these are transitive dependency. Means whenever you are giving this one Selenium dependencies, it will download other dependent dependencies as well, and everything will be shown individually here. Okay, perfect. So we have done with the basic setup of our Selenium project. Now what we need to do, first we need to create one HTML file. Okay, where I will have their cascading drop down. So let me go here, and yesterday we have seen this one like from W3 school. So what I'll do, I will copy this code. Okay, and I'll get my HTML file. What I can do, go here, search Notepad++. I'll do, sorry, let me copy the HTML code again. Okay, it was already copied, but yeah, let me copy it again. Okay, and I will paste it here, and I will save this code into, let me copy this path. I will save this HTML file, save as, where I want to save here, give the file name like cascading dropdown.html. Okay, let me save it. Okay, so now it has saved properly, and we can open this in to a Chrome. Right, so we can see whatever is showing here W3 school. So I just copied the HTML code and I created my HTML file, and I'm opening this in a browser. So we can see subject as front end, back end, and all the dependent values we can see here. Right, so this will be easier for us. Okay, so first thing we are done. Okay, second thing what I need to do, whatever expected JSON we have created, right, expected JSON for the values, or we can say JSON for expected values. So again I will copy this one. Okay, let me put it here in the same file, and I will create, again I will go to the same, this one, new, Control V. I will try to save, and I will do expected JSON, expected data dot json. Okay, perfect. So I've created both the like HTML file and expected data JSON here. What I'll do here, in the project only, under the src main or resource, anywhere you can keep it. So let me put inside main only. I will have package like HTML files. Okay, and I will get another folder. So within resource, the package will is nothing but folder. Okay, and I will put some JSON files. Okay, so what I'll do, whatever cascading drop down I've created, the same I will copy and I'll put it within the project itself, because when I will share this project to you people, so that you can find the same files in your project only. Okay, in this expected data I will put in the JSON file. Okay, perfect. Now what I need to do, I need to start writing the code which can verify the values of dependent data, right? Dependent drop down values. Okay, so what is the first step? What I need to do, I need to launch the browser. Okay, so before that, let me create one package. I can give any like com dot mac dot scenarios. Okay, in this I will create one class. Okay, and let me give a meaningful name like verify cascading drop down scenarios. Okay, perfect. So let me use add test annotation because we have tsng here. Okay, and public void, let you put the same method name also. Okay, so you can do, there's no problem in that. Okay, and I will just simply keep one small v here. Okay, so what is the first step? We need to launch project, right? So like what generally we do, we generally go and if suppose if you want to launch Chrome, then you need to download the Chrome executable files, right? And then you need to keep the system path here, but those things are not needed if you're using WebDriver Manager. So to use WebDriver Manager, what you need to do, we have one class called WebDriver Manager which is coming from this WebDriver Manager library, and here we have method like Chrome driver dot setup. Only one thing you need to do, what it will do automatically for you, it will download the executable file for you and it will set the environment path for that. So there no need of downloading the file explicitly. And whenever you are sharing this project to any other member of your project, so automatically for them also there no need to download any exe files. For them it will go and read the currently installed version of your browser and to download the appropriate exe for you. Okay, then let me create a Chrome driver class, Chrome driver object, so that it will launch the browser. Okay, so these are basic concept of Selenium which you should be aware. Okay, so we have launched the browser. What is the next? We need to load the URL. Okay, URL is nothing but whatever is HTML we have created, that one. Okay, local HTML file. So let me copy this, and what I will do, I will put driver dot get, right? So get method is to load the URL. Okay, now what is the next thing we need to do? So we have launched the browser, we have loaded the URL. Now I need to let me verify. The first thing what I will do, verify subjects, verify values in subjects drop down. Okay, so what is the first thing what I want to do? I want to verify this subject should contain my front end and back end. Okay, So what is the first thing? I need to go for locator. Let me inspect it, and we can see it has ID, so let me use the ID. Okay, so what I'll do, wave element subject new, sorry, what I'm doing, driver dot find element by dot x by dot id, right? We have id. Okay, and I believe in giving the proper names. So instead of subject, what we can give, like drop down subject, right? So we are done with this, and if you see the tag here, we have select tag, right? So in Selenium, to handle select type of drop down, we have a special class called select itself, right? And that is applicable only for the drop down created using select tag, right? Select tag. So what I'll do, I'll use select, and I will do, let me import it from my from Selenium itself, and then let me give a proper name like select drop down subject. Okay, now what I need to do, new select, and we need to pass the drop down subject. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I am going to get all the options of this drop down. Okay, what are the options are present in this drop down, I want to get it. So select class provides one method called get options. Okay, and what it return you, it will return you a list. If you see here, it is returning, okay, get option, you can see it is returning a list of wave element. Okay, and okay, so let me store it as list of wave element. Okay, all subject element. Okay, it list which coming from util package. Now what I need to do, I need to use for loop wave element. Okay, element, then, or because we need to extract the text, right? Then only it will work, means then only we'll get all the drop down values, right? So element dot get text, right? So let me create a list here, list of actual subjects, right? Means what I am doing here, I am going to, once I do the get options, so I'll get all the list, all the options as a part of, as a in form of list of wave element. So you need to go iterate it and then fetch the text out of it, then you need to add into another list. Okay, so that only you will get the values. So what I need to do, in actual subjects dot add, right? To add the value element in the list, we need to use add method. Okay, let me print here, sys out actual subjects. Okay, then I can print it. So let me run and show you whether it is printing all the subjects or not. I am, as of now, I am not asserting it, right? So we have some error. Where is the error? Okay, so let me go and run this project. So as of now, it will simply run the project, sorry, run the code. It will launch the browser, and it will load that cascading dropdown HTML, and then it will try to fetch the all the options in subject dropdown. Okay, so we can see, yeah, it's launching the browser, and I'm not closing, so it is not closed, but here we can see it is printing all the subject name, right? Like select subject, front end and back end. Okay, so now if you see here, we have written these many codes, right? These many lines. So actually these are not needed if you know Java stream. Okay. This is just a one line code. Instead of writing these many lines of code, you can write in one line. Okay. So what I'll do here, I will keep this code also for you people to refer it, and I'll comment. I will write the traditional or using for loop. Okay, and here I will use stream, Java stream, and you can see how much it is beneficial and how drastically it can reduce your number of lines of code. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me have one actual subject list here. Okay, and this one, right, get options. So once you get it, it is giving me list of web elements. So we have one method called stream. Okay, call this stream method, and then we have one method called map. Okay, so I'm not going to explain everything in detail here about the stream. In that I can take a different video, but here what I need to do, I need to iterate, right? So for that I am calling the stream method, then I am calling a map. Okay, this map is nothing like suppose there in one list you have 5 elements like 1 2 3 4 5, and you want to add one in all the elements of that list. So you can use the map and you can add one to that those numbers or those elements. So that is easy here. Like I can show you, like what I want to do means map all the element. Okay, this is like a shorter syntax, but yeah, as of now you can understand it. Like take each element. Okay, take each element and use the lambda operator here. Okay, okay, and then use le dot get text. Okay, means whatever we are getting list of web element here, right, and we are using a stream so that we can use the stream methods here. So I'm calling a map method which will perform operation on all the elements, right? What I want to do, take all the element and replace with that, like what operation I want to perform, go and get the text of it. Okay, so earlier we have all the elements there. Now we'll have the text of those elements in that list. Instead of web element, we'll have the text now. And that I can collect, we have one collect method, I can collect it as collector to list. Okay, so what I did here, in one line I did everything. Use like actual subject here. Okay, and if you print it, so we'll get the same output. Okay, so here you can see we get the same output, right? And so this is one line code. Instead of writing for loop explicitly and all, so we can use the same stream. So whatever comfortable you are, whatever approach you think it's easy, or you can follow it, but I will suggest learn streams. Okay, now we got the actual values in subject drop down. Now my question, now the thing is like what I want to do, how can I assert that these options are same as whatever we are expecting, right? What we are expecting, like it should have front end and back end, right? And we have one select subject which I can remove it. So let me remove it now itself. What I will do, actual subject. Okay, so that is always coming as first, right? First one, so I'll use the 0 so that it will remove the default option, right? Because that I don't want. Okay, perfect. So now what I need to do, I want to assert that whatever subjects are coming, those are expected. So where we have the expected data, in my JSON file. So expected data here we have here. So if you see here, in the subject drop down we have these values, right? And if I can read these values, so I can assert with that expected. Okay, so to read the JSON we need another library called Jackson. Okay, so let me go and go to Maven Central Repo and search for Jackson. Okay, Jackson data bind. Let me use the latest dependency here. Let me copy it. What I need to do, I need to go to pom.xml and let me put the dependencies here again. So why I added the Jackson data by dependency here? Because I want to read the JSON, right? Okay, so we are done. So what I need to do, in Jackson we have class called object mapper. This is the important class which is used to read and write JSON. Okay, there are so many usage of it, but in simple words, for if you are a beginner, then we can use this for reading and writing a JSON file. Okay, so object mapper, let me create an object of it, new object mapper. Okay, this object mapper class has one method called read value. Okay, and it has overloaded read value method. What I need to do, I need to use a read value in which I need to pass the JSON file as JSON file, right? So for that, what I'll do, so let me create a file instance. So expected JSON file. Okay, new file, and I can give the file path, right? Okay, so if you see here, we have the JSON file here. So let me go properties and let me copy the path, right? I'm not copying the full path because I can use the user.dir property. So what I'll do, let me paste it here first, and then I will append like system.get property. Okay, user.dir. So automatically it will give you the path till your project. Okay, so there's no need to hard code the path anything here. Okay, so this get property user.directive will give you the path of your project till here. Okay, then I gave the path from within this project. Okay, even you can use a class loader also, so those things we can cover in different video. Okay, so what I did here, simply I gave the path, created the file, and here I can pass the same file like expected JSON file, and what I want to do, I want to read this file. Okay, if you see this JSON, okay, so this JSON, it is actually JSON object which is a key value pair. This is the front end key and back end is another key, and this front end has some values, right? It has this value, so this can be cast, so this can be read as a map. Okay, simple map. This I am already covering in my race assured playlist, so you can go and watch if you are not aware of this concept. But yeah, to read this JSON, because this is a JSON object, so we can read it as map. Okay, map of string value can be anything there, so I am using object. Okay, so here I cannot directly use this one directly map. So what I need to do, I need to use another abstract class called new type reference. Okay, and here instead of t, what I need to do, I need to pass map string object. Okay, so let me import file also first from java.io, then map from util. Okay, and as will be capital. Okay, it will throw one exception, so let me add as throw exception. Okay, simple. What I have done here, I just simply read the JSON file, okay, into a map. Okay, to read a map, to read into map with the generic like string and object, and it use the type reference, which is another abstract class provided by Jackson itself. Okay. Okay, and as I am reading into a map, so I can store into a map only string object, and I can give the name like expected JSON data map. Okay, now since we have read it as map, right? So in map we have method called expected JSON data map dot key set, right, which is giving a set of a string, right? Means whatever in a map, whatever keys we have, it will give me as a set, right? So here if you see this particular JSON object, this I am reading as a map, and when I'm doing the keys set, so it will return me the this key, right, front end and back end, not nested keys, not now. At the front level to give me the front end and back end, because those two keys we have. So let me go here. What it will return me is set of string, and we have mm, expected subject set. Okay, so now I want to assert this one actual subject and expected subjects, right? But here if you see here, one we have list, another we have set, right? So what I can do, I can convert this two into a list only. So for list of a string, okay, expected subject, okay, I use a new array list, okay, and inside expected subject, okay, I'll use the add all, okay, and I can pass the set here. This is going to be a long video, but yeah, you need to stay with me so that you can learn the concept. Okay, and I am trying to cover all the basic details as well. So what I did, I get the key set. Okay, so the key set method returning me a set of string. Okay, since I want to assert it with a list of string, so we cannot compare it. So I converted this set of string to a list of string. Okay, so to convert a set of string to list of string, I created a list of string. Then I use the add all method. This add all method takes the collection, and all the elements in this set, okay, will be added to my list. Now I can use the assertion method from TestNG, like assert dot assert equals, okay, and I can pass like actual, right? What is actual? Actual subject, okay, then expected subject, okay, and let me run it. This example will also help you like why we should use JSON for a data repository instead of using Excel and all. You can see codes are much simpler compared to any Apache POE and other things if you're writing the code, if you're storing the data in Excel. Okay, so you can see it is passing like actual subject, and it is passing. So let me print the expected also. Let me copy the same sysout, okay, and I will put expected subjects, okay. So this is the things I have done here. So let me put the comment also so that it can help you for understanding while reviewing the code. Read expected JSON as map, okay. Why map? Because expected JSON is a JSON object, okay. Okay, So here get all subjects value, right, and convert to list. And here we know what I am doing by asserting it, asserting actual and expected subjects. Okay, so first milestone we have achieved, like we have verified the subjects, subjects drop down values from my expected JSON. Okay, now the second part comes, like if you're selecting here front end, right, then this topic should have HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If you are selecting it as backend, then the topic should have PHP and SQL. Okay, so what I need to do, first I need to go and select the front end value. Okay, like the value in subject object as front end. What I'll do here, I can use again what is the select I've used here. Yeah, select drop down subject, and we have select by value, right? We can use, if you see here, we have value, right? So we can use this one, and I can put value. Okay, so I have selected the subjects as front end. Now it will populate these values, right? Topic. So I'm not using any kind of functional, means what you can say, like customized weight here. So I will simply use thread.select so that it can populate the values, right? But you can write some code where you can wait till you get the options in dependent drop downs like topics. So let me use the throws here. Okay, so what I did, I selected the subject and then I gave the some weight so that it can populate the value in topics. Okay, now I need to retrieve the value from this topic drop down. So it will similar to subject. Just I need to locate it. Okay, so it is again topic. ID is the topic. So what I do, web element topic drop down topic new, sorry, driver dot find element by dot id. Okay, then I can use the select drop down topic. So whatever I did for subject, same thing I am doing here, new select. Okay, new select drop down topic. What I'm to do, again I will use the same stream here to get all the options. Let me copy it from here, all these three lines, and I can paste it here. Okay, so instead of here, what I need to do, let me copy this one also. Okay, so instead of actual subjects, what I will have, actual topics, right? Topics only, right? Yeah, actual topics. And in this subject drop down, I need to use select drop down subject topic here. It will same, all the other code will be same. It will go and give me the value as list. And again I will, this should be drop down actual topic, right? Actual topic, I am removing the first default option and let me print actual topics. Okay, so we have simply retrieved all the values from topics drop down. Okay, now I want to assert, like whatever topics we are getting, those should be expected, right? So again, from where I need to get the expected data, that is from my expected data.json. Now the trick part is here. if you selected the front end, right, so we have three values, right? If you selected the front end here, so we see HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and you can see here keys. So whatever we have done for subject, similar kind of things we need to do here as well. Let me show you how. So we have already object mapper, right? Object mapper instance here. Where I did the data? Yeah, expected JSON data map. Okay. So it is a map, so we can use get method, correct? In this we can pass the which key I want to get. So here if you see, we have two keys right here. So I want to pass this front end, okay, and get the value. Okay, it is here only. So get the value. If you see here, we have given like it is a string and object. So whatever value it can hold, any kind of, right, because it is object. So actually whatever value it is holding, it is again holding one key value pair only, right? This estimates the key and this is the value, correct? So what I can do, I can cast it. Okay, what I can do, it will return me an object. Okay, it will return me one object like front end value. Okay, correct. Now I can cast it. I I can cast it to map. Why? Because again it is holding a JSON object. Okay, this is again one JSON object, right? So JSON object can be converted to map. Here we have JSON object, right? If you forgot about everything, just consider this much. So this is again one JSON object. Okay, so we can cast it to again a map itself. So map string as capital, then object. Okay, front end map. Okay, I can cast it this front end value, right? So I need to use the cast operator, which you can use like this. Okay, right, you can directly write in one line also, but yeah, just to make you understand more, I written in two lines. Okay, now we have the control of this much. We have this value, this much, right? I know that once you set the front end, this HTML, CSS and JavaScript are topics. I will do the again same thing. I will go and get the key set, right? Whatever I did here. So let me go and use the same thing. Okay, code are repetitive, yeah, so you can use the methods, but yeah, as of now, because I am explaining the scenario, so I am writing everything here only. So expected subject, no, expected topic set. So it will use the front end map. Okay, then expected topic again here. Okay, so expected topic, again I did the key set, means all the topic, expected topic. Then I converted that set to a list, and then I am printing the expected topic here. Now what is the next? I need to go and assert. Okay, need to go and assert it here. So it will be your actual topics. Okay, and then my expected topic. Okay, so let me run it and let me show you whether it is working or not. Okay, so it will launch the browser, and then Okay, it failed, it didn't select the value. Let me see what is the problem. Okay, so let me maximize this console. Unsupported operation exception, you may only deselect option of a multi-select. So what is the very problem? I think instead of select I have to use the deselect method. Yeah, deselect. Okay, so let me run this program again, and hopefully this time it should run. Okay, so let me maximize the console, and it is launching the browser, and hopefully it should select the subject. Yeah, it's selected. Okay, so okay, so you can see it is printing the actual subjects and expected subject, and we have assertion, so it is passing the actual topics and expected topic, and both we are printing and asserting, and it is passing means it is able to assert the values. Tomorrow, if suppose if the suppose in subject doctrine we have extra values, or in the topics we have extra values, so simply need to come here and change the values here or update the values here. Okay, there's no need to go and change anything in your code, because we should always keep our expected data in such places so that you can easily go and change it. Okay, because data is the important part. We should not hardcode data in my script itself. You can see if you add any new value here, let me go and add one like buttons. Okay, so I simply added one extra option here. Sorry, not here, it will not work here because we are starting with that, right? Let me go and something I did mistake here, right? Okay, so what I can do here, okay, I simply go and add one more, like PHP. Okay, something I use, and I am simply using some dummy value. Okay, and I need to use one comma here. Okay, so what I did here, inside the front end we have 4 menus now, right? 4 topics we are expecting, but actually we have 3 only. So let me go and run this one, and it will fail because actual and expected topics are not matched. Okay, it is waiting for 5 seconds because we are given the wait, and yeah, it should fail. Let me go and check it here. Okay, console, and you can see actual topics we have only in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but what we are expecting, HTML, CSS, JavaScript and PHP. So you can go and means, and you can see list don't have the same size expected 4 but found 3. Okay, this comes from your assertion. Okay, so whatever change you want to do, you just need to do in your data part. There's no need to change, there's no need to change anything in your code until unless you have some locator changes or some extra drop down added. Okay, so now we have select the front end, we have verified the topics. Now let me go and verify the chapters. So what I'll do, I'll go and select HTML. Okay, so once I select the topic as HTML, then we have should have these chapters. Okay, so again what I need to do, the basic things, let me go and select the topic first. So what is the select one? Yes, select drop down topic dot select y value, and you can see HTML, right? Value is HTML. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to get all the values from chapters. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go and copy the same code, right? So which is here, and let me put the thread.slip also, everything here. Let me copy. After selecting the HTML, I want to put some weight. I given it here. Then I want to get the value from my chapter drop down, right? So again, if you inspect this drop down, I have chapter. Okay, so just you need to change the name like drop down chapter. Okay, select drop down chapter. Okay, so I need to use this one here, actual chapters. Okay, it will be select drop down chapter here. Okay, everything will be same, actual chapter, right here, not actual topic, and remove the first one with by default actual chapters, right? You can see I just use the same code. Okay, what is the next? I need to get the values from my expected JSON, right? So if you select the HTML, okay, so it has these values, right? It has these values. Okay, so we have already accessed this front end, right? So once you use the key HTML, then we can get this value, right? So what I need to do here, front end map, right? This front end map dot get, right? Here, what is the key? Which value I am selecting? HTML. I am using this as key here. Okay. Now the trick part is here. Like earlier in the which one, chapter one. Sorry. What is the second drop down we have? Topics, right? Inside the topics we convert, once we face the front end, then I then I cast it to map, right? Once we're getting it as HTML is containing one array, right? So this can be converted to a list. Okay, array list. It is actually one array list here. Okay, I can cast it to a one array list. So it will return me an object. Okay, HTML value. Okay, and this I need to cast it to map. Sorry, list, because why? It is a Java. It is actually map. It is actually in, sorry, this the HTML is holding an array. Okay, and this can be cast to an array list. Okay, so what I need to do, array list, or let me use list. Okay, a string. What I can do, expected chapters. Okay, HTML value, and this we can cast it to list of string. Okay, so now we have actual chapters and we have expected chapters. Now we can assert it. Okay, so let me copy the assert statement. It will be like asserting actual and expected chapters. Okay, so expected chapter, and we have actual chapters. Okay, and let me run this program, and hopefully this should run, and this will be the final where we are handling the cascading drop down, means we are asserting the values of dependent drop downs. Okay, it selected the front end, then waiting for 5 seconds, then it should go and select the HTML, again it will wait for 5 seconds, and then chapters. Okay, so we are not selecting a value in chapters, so yeah, it is not selecting. So here you can see everything is passed, and we have expected topic, okay, and actual chapters. So I think I have used the wrong reference variable here. So Okay, let me see again. Actual chapters. Okay, I am not printing the expected chapter here. So let me print this again. It will be your expected, right? Expected chapters. It will be your expected chapters here. Okay, and let me run this program again, and this time it should work fine. Okay, so it's solid 12 night here, so dogs are barking. Okay, it's selected front end, waiting for 5 seconds, then it will select for topic. Again we wait for 5 seconds, it will verify the values. And yeah, it's done. So you can see it's passing and it is printing the actual and expected chapter this time properly, right? So since I have not added the quit or close command, so that's why it is not closing the browser. So as a good practice, what I'll do, I'll quit the browser, driver dot quit. Okay, so yeah, you can enhance this code in many ways. Like you should create some methods here which you can call it, because I have some repeated code here. Okay, but as I am explaining the scenario here, so it's fine. But in whenever you are using this concept in your real project, so go and always create the method so that you can reuse it. Okay, so I hope this video should help you uh, in handling the cascading drop down, dependent drop downs. Okay, but if you have any doubts, suggestions, or any kind of feedback, you can comment on my video, and also you can let me know in which particular scenario you want to know in Selenium. Like if you are some, and if you really like my video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with others. Thank you.